Now we are going to put all of these codes into another function and then put that function inside another library like printf in this stdio.h so that we could use it any place that we want. So first I want to create a function since my code strcmp equivalent, or the function that compares the two strings, because it returns an integer, I want to say int, and then the name of my function I want to say mgh compare. Mgh is my name. I want to emphasize that any name that you want you could choose for your function. Then we just cut and paste all of these codes using Ctrl and then Ctrl U. So this would be my function. Also since I want to invoke my function and pass the two strings, so I would say the arguments in here would be two pointers. One of them I want to name it A and the other pointer called B. It doesn't matter what name you choose, because the moment that you pass the arguments in the main function, they would replace these two arguments. So because I have already chosen all the names as A and B, I want to say A and B in here. So in the main function we would say, whenever you want to just pass the arguments or use the mgh compare, let's say I say if mgh compare with the A and B pointer, if it is equal to 1, then it would mean that they are completely equal. So I would say strings are equal. Also I want to say if mgh compare, or let me just cut and paste it in again, Ctrl a couple of times and Ctrl U. If you look at the code, it says that whenever one of the strings is a subset of the other, return -2, and if they are not equal at all, return -1. So we could say in the main function that whenever mgh compare it returns -2, I want you to say strings are subset of each other. Also in the other function, in the other if statement, I want to say if the return of mgh compare comparing A and B is equal to -1, strings are not equal is the statement that I want to be printed on the screen. So if I just save it, you see right now they are equal. So I say gcc string compare .c-o string compare, hit enter and run our function. As you see on our program, it says strings are equal. If I just change it, change the strings to, let's say, some other thing in here, we would have not equal. Definitely you see strings are not equal. Now what we are going to do is to put all of this code inside another library. So I would want to just copy this file, string compare.c, inside another file. Let's also name it the string, or actually let me just enter the same file again, the string compare.c in here. What I want to do is to just change the name to .h, but before that I want to just remove all the main codes. So I press Ctrl C to remove all the main codes in here. Also I want to remove these include stdio.h, and what I want to do is to, we have defined just one function and we want to change the name to a string compare.h. So we could just say Ctrl O and remove the name in here, but I want to use the move command. So you know, in some other commands in Linux, if I say move is for moving some file to another location. So when I say move a string compare.c and say the same thing, that I want to move it in the same place, it just means that I want to rename it, right? So I say, because unlike the cp, which is for copy, move moves the source file. So when I say this, the source file would be removed, and then we would have a string compare .h, which is just renaming the file. So I enter the string compare.h, and this is our file. So what I want to do is to create another file. Let's name it just string.c, and I want to include the stdio.h and create also what I want to do is to use the mgh compare, which has been defined inside this library or header file called string compare.h. So I would want to say include and the name, which is string compare.h. You see I have put the double quotation instead of this sign. The reason is that the main file and the header file are in the same directory. I could put the string compare.h inside the user/include, which is the default directory in my Linux for saving all the header files, and then use this small and greater than sign. But well, you could actually do that as an exercise. I just want to put all of them in the same directory. So in the main function I would say int main v returns 0, and then if you look at the library, it says the name of the function is mgh compare, right? So I say if mgh compare of two strings, let's say two strings, the first string I want it to be programming, and the second string I want it to be program just. If this is equal to 1, then printf, you see printf has been defined inside stdio, printf equal. And well, if we save it, and well, we could also specify other things. So right now, because they are not equal, the return value wouldn't be equal to 1, and therefore it wouldn't have anything printed on the screen. Or we could just define else statements and the other things. So what we could do is to just cut this line like the thing that we did in the beginning of the lecture. So I could just say if it is equal to -2, then you could just say subset strings. Now I save it, exit, say gcc strings.c-o string, hit enter and execute the string in here, and we have subset strings. Because remember, in our file it says the only time that they are a subset of each other you would return -2. And if you look at the strings.h, program and the program in this string is a subset of the other string, which is programming. We could change the strings, or we could just define them as pointers that we said. I define a value called char_c, which would be equal to, let's say, Python, and I define another pointer which would be equal to a string again called Python. So what we could do is to, instead of passing these strings, we just pass c. We know that c is a pointer to Python, and d is another pointer to this string in here. And also I want to cut these lines, Ctrl O, hit enter, Ctrl X, compile it and execute it, and we have equal, since the two strings are completely equal. So from now on, whenever that we want to compare two strings, we could use the strcmp, which has been defined inside the string.h library, or we could use our own library, which is string compare.h, in this way as you see.